Hi guys! I'm here with my two beautiful daughters, which you all know. And we have decided we're going to try something today. We have a swim go, and it's a really hot day. And we were thinking, you know, what would it be like if we were one of those water striders that could walk on water? So I was talking to the girls, and I came up with some ideas, and they kind of helped me. So I'm going to let them tell you some ideas of how they're going to try to figure out how to walk across that water. Because right now, obviously it wouldn't work. What are your guys' ideas?
Well, we need a wider weight distribution across the surface of the water. So we're going to need some really, really big feet.
Ooh, big feet is
That's
good.
what I think.
Good big feet. So how are you? You could borrow your brother's shoes.
But we need something like actually bigger than that. So I'm thinking if we could just turn the whole surface of the pool into a giant foot, then I can walk across it.
That's a great idea, but how would you do that?
Well, I'm just going to cover a part of it with something.
Tom, do you have any ideas what we could try?
Cardboard!
You think cardboard would work?
No.
Okay, that's a good idea. I'll say no. We're trying to work this out here.
I think cardboard is going to be the best solution ever!
Let's try cardboard! You go get the cardboard.
You don't want to
that looks like good cardboard.
I'll do it. I'll do it. All right, well, you need to do it really fast after you put it in the water because cardboard is going to go along with water. Ready? I'll show you. You try it. Go. Go.
This looks good.
Go, you go.
Weight distribution. It's on the weight distribution.
I'm still on it.
Okay, well, what's another idea?
Foam.
Foam.
Like Lego mat. Yoga mat.
A yoga mat?
Yeah, then it wouldn't get soggy. And
wet and
gross. Heavier now? I think that added to our weight instead of making it more evenly distributed. I think we should lie them both across the pool so we can run across it. Run across them? Yeah. Well, ready? No. Ready, set, go! That was worse than cardboard! Maybe we should flip it over and try the other side! Maybe if it's double. We might not have
I have an idea.
You do it!
You see, we're trying to balance the weight, but they still are jumping on it with just their feet hitting first. Maybe they can, like, I don't know, get on all fours.
Belly flop on it!
Alright, bring it on out. Maybe all fours.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna belly flop onto this. You ready? Yeah!
Okay, that didn't look too bad.
I mean, it kind of worked. I got across. Alright, ready, Hannah? Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that kind of worked, right? I mean, you know, she's not walking on water, but you know, it's close. What do you guys think? Do you think we should count that? I don't know. Is there any other ideas you guys have to try to make it more of a walk on water thing?
I have an idea. Let's give you step all in one spot. I have an idea.
What?
Let's try linoleum flooring. Like a giant piece of thick plastic.
Okay, do we have something like that? Really? Who has linoleum just laying around they can throw over the pool? Wow, we do have linoleum. Okay. That did seem to work better.
I mean, I think we need to lift it up in the middle. It literally wraps around your legs. It's really dangerous. Okay, wait, I want to try this again. Like, you step on it and it's like plaster around your leg.
So my question would be, is would it work if they combined two of the ideas? What if the linoleum was underneath and on top was the yoga mat?
I think if we put the yoga mat underneath.
Or underneath. That's a good idea.
Actually, yeah. Put the yoga mats folded in half right where we're going to step. Kiana, come on. Put the yoga mat underneath right where we're going to step. Okay.
All right, Aderay, what do you think? Think it'll work?
I think so. Alright. Let's go for it.
Ooh, she made it to the other side.
Alright.
So how many of you think that Kiana will be able to be more successful for the only reason that she's lighter?
I have bigger feet though. She's lighter, but I have got bigger feet.
Could the speed at which you go have an effect?
Well, you think I should go slow? Yeah, you spend the least amount of time on it. Problem is that if you're trying to go fast, then you have the pressure from jumping.
So a nice, light, careful step in could make the difference.
If I can't reach that with a light, just a step in.
Okay.
It's kind of dangerous because your foot does get stuck. Yeah, it's actually pretty dangerous. So disclaimer, kids, don't do this at home.
Yes.
Without trained adult supervision. By trained, I mean somebody who knows how to do CPR and how to rescue people from linoleum entrapments.
Okay, do we have any other ideas, or shall we say, I don't think we can walk on water? See, I'm thinking that if you laid the yoga mats out instead of doubled them, but had them just regular, and then gently tried crawling across.
Since it was Mom's idea, I think she should do it first.
Okay.
Alrighty then, closing all.
I'm very confident that I can do this. There is no way.
I know it's the luck.
Is it gonna work? I'm gonna make it all the way across.
All the way.
Okay, I think
I'm gonna try now.
that
I'm lighter than Mom.
I'm ready to say that God alone can walk on water.
Oh, even after you curl the stuff on the surface, it's not water anymore.
I know. It's
Ready? I'm gonna
We're
try.
cheating. I think we're gonna be done, and I'll finish the rest of the devotional after I get dried off because I'm cold and I'm wet. Okay guys, I got dried off and I came inside after my walking on water episode, and it didn't work nearly as good as I'd hoped it had. I really thought that I could do it. I thought, I watched the kids do it. They were not very successful, but if I worked really hard at distributing my weight more evenly, I was sure that I could get across that water. That was until I put my hands on the mat, and then I knew there's no way. I'm not gonna make it across this water. I'm going down. But you know what? It really got me thinking. That desire to walk on water, it's not just me that has it. I want to share with you another person who had the desire to walk on water. His story is found in the Bible, and it is in Matthew chapter 14. I want you to put yourself in the shoes of this young man who really, really, really wants to walk on water. I know that if you just think about what it would have been like to be him, the story comes alive. So here's the deal. We know that Jesus walked on water, right? You've read the story many times and you know that he came walking on the water. But I want you guys to really stop and think about what happened that day. That night. All right. So basically Jesus has been preaching to a bunch of people, and he sends his his disciples on ahead, and he says, why don't you just go on out on the Sea of Galilee, and I'll meet you, but I want to go talk to my Father first. I'm going to have some prayer time, some time alone away from the crowds, and then I'll meet you. And I don't know about you guys, but I think my question, if I had been one of the disciples, is, okay, Jesus, how are you going to meet us, and where are you going to meet us? But they did what they were told, just as they should. Even though they didn't completely understand, they went ahead and went across the Sea of Galilee. Hours go by, all right, and the boat is out there in the middle of the Sea of Galilee, and the wind is buffeting. That's what the scripture says, buffeting. The wind is buffeting the boat. That means it's hitting hard. It's like just a gale force against the boat. And it's intense. The disciples are a little bit freaked out because this is a big storm and we're in this little tiny boat. They struggle with the wind all night long. They're just trying to stay alive. Imagine being Peter. I just want you to put yourself in Peter's shoes. As they've been struggling all night, they're tired, okay? They probably would like to be in bed asleep. They probably started thinking maybe they were dreaming because they look out and there's Jesus. And he's walking on the water. They don't know it's Jesus yet. They just look out there and there's this ghost, is what they would think, right? I mean, come on, we're in the middle of the sea and there's a guy walking towards us. Gotta be a ghost. And that's what they think. Oh, it's a ghost. They cry. And it says they cry out in fear. But Jesus, get this, Jesus says to them, take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid. And then Peter, I love Peter. Peter, he says this, he says, Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water. And I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be me. I'd be the one going, oh man, this is so awesome. If that's Jesus. And I know Jesus, he'd let me come with him. He'd call me. He'd let me be with him in this miracle. He would want me by his side because he loves me. And I love that attitude Peter has. Lord, if it's you, tell me to come. Tell me to come to you on the water. And you know what? I love this, you guys. God is not a God that's just up there waiting for you to mess up. He's not a God that's distant. He's not a God that doesn't care. He's a God that cares so deeply for you that you could ask this crazy request because he knows that Peter's heart is for that relationship with Jesus. That's what his motive is in asking. Tell me to come to you. If it's really you, tell me to come to you. I want to come to you. And Jesus says, come. And I love Peter's response. Without even a moment's time of thinking, he didn't look around and go, wait, there's waves, there's water, there's, what am I doing here? He keeps his eyes on Jesus and he steps out of the boat. It says Peter got down out of the boat and he walked on water and came toward Jesus. Now, you guys, that would be so amazingly awesome. Pretend in your mind it was you. Imagine for just a second that your eyes are on your Lord. You just stepped out of the boat and you stood on water. Not only did you stand on water, but you took a step towards Jesus and another step towards Jesus and another step towards Jesus. Would you not be totally and completely amazed and thrilled? Would it not be the most exciting thing you've ever done? Well, I think it was. And all of a sudden, Peter started to think about what he was doing. He's like, oh my goodness, I'm walking on water and I'm in the middle of the Sea of Galilee and it's really deep where I'm at. And those are big waves. And all of a sudden, his eyes got off of Jesus and they got on the waves and they got on the ocean and they got on the depth. And they got on the fact that the boat is way over there and Jesus is still over that way. And I'm standing here on water, but I can't stand on water. And all of a sudden, that doubt started to enter. He had gotten his eyes off of Jesus, and now he started to sink. And kids, I want you to stop and think about that for a second. When you get your eyes off of Jesus, you'll start to sink too. We all do. Because the truth is, we can't walk on water. There's a lot that God has asked us to do in this life. And we cannot do it without our Creator and without His help. We've got to keep our eyes on Jesus. So when Peter got his eyes off of Jesus and onto that wind and onto the waves and onto the depth. He was afraid. And because his focus now was on his fear instead of on God, he started to sink. But the amazing thing is, Peter, I love Peter. If I could just be like this, I would just love it. Because as he is sinking, he cries out to Jesus. He cries out and he says, Lord, save me. Guys, that's what we need to do. When we find ourselves sinking, we should already know that the reason why we're sinking in the whatever experience that we're having is because we've got our eyes off of Jesus. And what we really need to do is realize that it's not that we need to try harder, it's that we need to cry out to the only one that can save us. He cried out, Lord, save me. And this is the kind of God you guys have. Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. Okay? Peter did nothing more than cry out. Jesus did everything else. He reaches out his hand and he caught him. And he says to him, you have little faith. Why did you doubt? You had faith, Peter. You were walking on water. But it was a little faith. And while your faith was working, you were walking on water. If you could have just had faith longer. He says, you have little faith. Why did you doubt? It was the doubt that caused you to stop being able to walk on water. They climb back into the boat and the wind dies down completely calm. And there isn't a question in the minds of those men who Jesus was. At that moment, they knew who he was. It says, then those who were in the boat worshiped him, saying, truly, you are the Son of God. So here's the thing, guys. I'm not going to walk on water. I can't. I'm not. I tried, even with the linoleum and all those crazy little things that we tried to do. Yeah, I could do it if we grabbed an air mattress maybe for a little bit, but the truth is there's no way I'm going to walk on water. And I want to make sure that you guys don't try that crazy experiment at home, because just as my daughter did say, that linoleum, when it's wet, it does wrap around your body and it is very dangerous. So don't do anything like that without a parent involved and in the pool with you. And then be very, very careful if you do decide to do it. But here's the deal. What I want you to understand is there's things that we cannot do on our own. We just can't. But we have a God who calls us, and if he calls us to do things, he'll give us the capability to do those things, especially when those things are coming to him. You see, Peter asked to come to Jesus. That was his desire. He wanted to walk with Jesus. And your God is never going to say no. When your motivation is to walk with him, he wants that too. He wants that too. So come to him. No, he's not going to help you walk on water, because that was Peter's experience. And we know that our God, he deals with each of us differently. And for Peter, he got to walk on water. I'm not Peter. I'm not going to get to walk on water. Not yet. Not until maybe when Jesus comes again. But what God does call me to do, I want to be faithful with. I want to do what he calls me to do, but I know I can't do it in my power. And I know that sometimes I'm going to be afraid. That's because I'm human. And when I get afraid, I'm going to cry out, Lord, save me. And I know who's going to reach out. I know Jesus will reach out. That's my prayer for you guys. As you go through this week, my prayer is that you'll learn to cry out, Lord, save me. And then trust him. He is the God that reaches out and lifts you out of the water. See you next week.